Hello. In this day and age, online shopping has become a much more convenient and ever easier and engaging experience. But through this online shopping, there are also some underlying factors, a conspiracy, if you will, to produce even more waste than we previously expected. So in this documentary, Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy, I will explain the how from the lens of the six different supply chain drivers, how this overconsumption trend is negatively affecting the overall sustainability goals as well as the environmentalism. Warehouse and fulfillment centers are great facilities. They are very efficient in terms of the inflow and outflow of goods. They're able to handle various specifications, anything under the sun. But that high capacity, it does not consider much the turnover rate. So not every product that enters the warehouse or fulfillment center gets out. It Some unsold goods will are inevitable. So that leads to a huge wasted potential, huge stock destruction that is happening within their facilities. As a result, all of these unsold goods as well as returned goods, they end up being destroyed instead of being repaired or uh, resold. So these wastes, they don't just go no out of nowhere. It is transferred. It is transferred away from the consumers so that they could not see the real impact of the wastes that are generated. So it creates unnecessary products that did not need to be created, as shown in the figures below. So where does these weights go? Well, it's not done through the proper channels. There are not enough facilities that able to handle the enormous amount of wastes. So, and it's very expensive. It's very costly for the companies. So what ends up being is that they are offset to the developing nations. For instance, Ghana. Ghana has its beaches filled with textile waste, and Chile also in its deserts. Their wastes are just piled up there discriminately. In order to cope with the various demands and the veracity of the trend cycles of the market, no, the inventory, it is prioritized to handle as much inventory as possible. So it tends to lead into overproduction and overcompensating through the volume of product instead of developing a specific system that matches the demand to the consumers. So, and additionally, the planned obsolescence, no, it encourages users to replace the products instead of reusing them. So it drives more sales. There's more incentive to have overproduction as well as more inventory, which also leads to more sales. Also, due to Amazon's generous returns system, so no questions asked, anything that can be returned regardless of its quality. So this results in additional accumulation of wastes. So one such report states that 130,000 items are destroyed per week in one of its warehouses. Seasonal demands and holidays also drives up the already strained requirements of inventory. So to keep up and keep up, no, they it's put a lot of strain. And when the demand is not met as expected, it is destroyed. So all of the unsold foods, they are wasted. They're not able to be redistributed anymore. And same applies to luxury goods. No, some of them they are cut. No? They are rendered unusable to prevent the spoiling of their brand image. The demand of online goods to be delivered faster and faster has been the expectation. As compared to the last 10 or to 20 years, customers expect same day delivery. So it very immediate return. So with this, no, it puts a lot of pressure for Amazon and other companies to utilize air freight services. So Amazon actually has their own airline, and the emissions from this mode of transportation, it really takes a toll. So it may be fast, but it also produces a lot of carbon emissions. And with the introduction of Prime, their membership strategies, the customers are more enticed to utilize this type of service more and more. This also applies to returns and transfers. So the expectation for fast shipping, it encourages the usage of more carbon intensive transportation, and most importantly, no, despite Amazon's pledge to be more sustainable, uh, the documentary, no, it stated that it hasn't been improving at all. 40%, it has increased actually by 40% in the past 2 years. This also applies to the end life cycles of products. So this myth of recycling, it is not actually doing good for the environment. So the typically when users offload their products, their unusable products, no, they get tend to exported overseas instead of properly handling them. And as a result, Thailand as well as Ghana, they become famous for toxic handling the toxic substances themselves. So it poses danger for their health. And as consumers, we don't even know it. Information is arguably the most important factor that affects this overconsumption culture. It is because that the companies, no, in pursuit of maximum profits, they make it as much easy or as convenient for the user as possible without thinking of its consequences. So for instance, the one click plus, the target ads, they eliminate any elements of doubt. The also it comes to the UX design. It is very clean. It's very simple and straightforward, and as well as the marketing materials. No, they entice the customers to be part of this growing culture. No, to be part of something other than consumption. As a result of this induced consumption, the already existing facilities, they cannot keep up. Currently they already have trouble. So why would more demand be generate less waste? And also this allows the companies to get away with morally questionable stuff like greenwashing. Greenwashing, pretending to be environmentally sustainable but actually not actually following through their actions. And greenwashing, no? The companies, they might set targets by themselves, but these targets, they are convinced that these targets are enough and not really address the entire situation. As briefly mentioned earlier, no, planned obsolescence encourages users to buy instead of keep using functional objects. And the companies, they really intensify this by making their designs very anti-consumer friendly. And as such, no, the sourcing, it faces a really great challenge because the company already knows that by making the products more sustainable, they might lose their customer base. So, in pursuit of greater profits, they rather extract the more resources to generate potentially more profits than just addressing the sustainability as a whole. A famous example of anti-repair practices is Apple. As much as possible, they like to control everything, their ecosystem within themselves. No? They don't want users to be to risk their reputation. They don't want anyone to touch their stuff except for themselves. This really perpetuates the cyclic and the short-lived trend cycles that are influencing the throwaway culture within consumers. Another risk is the raw materials themselves. Polyester fabric is sourced from unsustainable means such as oil production. But despite this danger, companies still use it because it is cheap and flexible. Companies try to mask this through labeling by sustainable sourcing, but it is just greenwashing in effect. An equally devastating driver is the pricing. This is part of the consumer manipulation. The consumers, tend to be not choosy when it comes to quality, as long as it is the variety is very available. It's very fast. It's able to adapt to their trends and desires. And and in addition to that, the culture behind the membership, the Prime membership, and the privileges and benefits of free shipping and spending more for such, they also influence consumers to spend more and to demand more from an already exhausting system. This is emphasized through marketing. So it is not enough to advertise a product for its features. It is it is a lifestyle. No? The consumers, they expect to be part of something bigger than the product themselves. No, it's self-expression. It whatever comes to mind to build their own identity. And this strategy, this competitively priced strategy, it encourages the manufacturers to continue their unsustainable means, to lower the prices through improper wastage, as well as targeted usage of targeted marketing and information manipulation. All it does is to promote the waste culture. Consumers, they tend to buy impulsively if the companies let them do so, if the companies convince them that it is good for them. So under this overconsumption culture, it it really drives home that the facilities that are available, they are wasted, and they're wasted potential by products that people don't need, or products that people will not buy. This has been the summary of the documentary. Uh, I did learn that this overconsumption culture affects the supply chain drivers in various ways. It's very intense. The facilities, they're overwhelmed. The transportation, they cannot help but use very polluting sources. The transport, as well as the sourcing, they resort to using unsustainable means to lie and information. They build a narrative that fits them, that absolves them from any environmental wrongdoing, despite proving otherwise, no? And everything else. No, uh, it emphasizes the need for a more sustainable, a more circular economy. No? So no, to think of products not just in terms of production costs and profits and operational costs and efficiency and such. It must be designed with the waste cycle in mind, because this is only a finite planet, and the more that the resources are extracted, the less utilization that there will be for future. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.